Welcome back to season one, episode five with your guy, none other than Coach Tony. We're here on the Pull Up Podcast Show. So make sure that you not only like the show, you share with your friends, but more importantly, you subscribe to the show. Tonight, we're going to be getting into this right here, the Rise NIL, the NCAA, and my guy, special mention. But before we do that, Val, you know what to do. Drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So.
We got 4 quarters of excitement here tonight on the Pull Up Podcast Show. It's your guy, none other than Coach Tony. We're going to be talking about this important logo right here. My own company, the Rise NIL company, sports marketing, helping a lot of these young athletes out with their name, image, and likeness. We talk about this quite a bit, but today's news and what we got to talk about today, this show is going to hopefully bring you a lot of information that you may or may not know about. So, what is it with the NIL? The NCAA, that big logo, the NCAA logo, that big one that we see on every single thing, from college football to basketball to hockey, you name it, that NCAA logo. That is what runs college sports today. And because of the NCAA, our beloved kids who are part of Division I, Division II, Division III, have the opportunity to use that logo as their overseer. Now, the name, image, and likeness. The name, image, and likeness from the NCAA. Name, image, and likeness has to do with the ability for an athlete to get paid for any use of his or her name, any use of his or her ability, and any use for their likeness. So that's the name, the image, and the likeness. When you're looking at that and you talking about that, let's talk about the past, the future, and the present. In the past, no matter when a kid's name, image, or whatever was used, take, for example, with EA Sports, back in the early 90s, late 90s, when the video games had all the basketball games they played and college football that went crazy, and they used all these pro guys for these video games. NCAA Madden football. These kids did not get any of the money. As a matter of speaking, the first person that actually brought a lawsuit against the NCAA was back in the 90s, and that was a guy by the name of Ed O'Bannon and his brother Charlie O'Bannon, coming from UCLA. And they wanted to sue because they were the O'Bannon brothers out of LA, and they were getting a lot of hype because they were really, really good ball players. And the NCAA said, no, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. We were not going to allow them to get paid. So they took them to court. Now, fast forward some 25, 30 years later, and what do you have? Kids getting paid for the name, image, and likeness. Once again, we're on the Pull Up Podcast Show tonight. We're talking about the NIL and the effects of it. So please make sure any questions that you have, throw them out tonight. Let's talk about it. I want everybody to be involved and everybody to have the ability to get something away from this show. The other thing when we talk about the NIL, as you see this picture right here, it's become the NCAA versus corporations. That's what it's actually come down to, is the NCAA, the government body that sits in the corporate office of the NCAA. And for those that don't know, that corporate office for the NCAA is located in Naptown or Indianapolis, Indiana. And they make up the rules and the rules committee that govern college football, basketball, and college sports in general. So we talk about things of this nature. It's very personal to me because a good buddy of mine who I actually wanted on this show tonight, but we're going to get him on in a few weeks coming up, is my guy who's located down in Florida, and Darren Heitner. Darren is a good buddy of mine. He runs Heitner Law Firm, sports and entertainment law. He also writes a journal on the NCAA NIL called simply the NIL newsletter. So if you go to the nilnewsletter.com, he talks about this. He's become a main contributor to the actual NIL deals and what's going on out here in the lay of the land, so to speak. When you've been watching year after year after year, from the moment that I've came through school, previous players before me, up through the last couple of years, guys that simply had to be able to play sports and play sports for what they were, an amateur athlete. But now the NIL has simply changed the playing field. How do you say that? Well, it's changed the playing field in the fact of the matter that now when a kid plays sports, he or she has the ability to get paid just for doing that. So prior to, if a athlete played sports and received anything as small as a dinner, a pair of shoes, whatever it may have been, it could be a violation to the athlete or to the person that had given that athlete, as they say, a gift, what the NCAA called it. Prime example, let's go back to the Michigan days when Chris Webber was one of the people in the Fab Five at Michigan that received obviously quite a few gifts, and then later on found out that they stripped Michigan from those titles that the Fab Five had won. Now, fast forward years later, they would still keep their title, and it would just simply be an opportunity for NIL opportunities to be on the table. Now, when we're looking at this, the NIL is kind of lopsided in my personal opinion, because we know that the main two sports at any college or any university is going to be football first, basketball second. Unless the university does not have a football program, then basketball, men and women, usually become king and queen on the university's campus. And because of that, you have situations like volleyball, or even maybe here in Nashville, where I'm located at, schools like Vanderbilt, whose baseball team and Coach Corbin are always nationally ranked. But those kids being baseball guys are not getting paid the same, obviously, as the football guys and basketball guys are, and they're basically doing the same work. When you move those sports down a little bit and you look at the female sports such as volleyball, track and field, and gymnastics, if the NIL wasn't here, those athletes would struggle and struggle quite a bit in order to make any money at all. Now, the other side of the coin is the coaching and the coaching staffs. So when you take an NIL into consideration, it has now come all the way down to what's coming out of high school into the college ranks. So I always talk to my clients, I talk to my customers, I talk to my parents, talk to my players. When you are looking at a university, several things you want to make sure you do. One, you want to make sure you look at the community where the university is located at. Second thing you want to do is look at the university in terms of academic studies. What am I going to be able to learn at this university? Do they have the major that I want to study? Do they have the ability to teach me the things that I'm going to need when I step out in the real world, just in case I have an injury or basketball or football doesn't put me into professional athletics? And then the last thing is, what is the program going to do for me? The coaching staff. What is the basketball or football? What is it going to bring me? What kind of system it's going to have? Those are those type of things that I tell my clients to make sure that they look at. And the reason being is because college coaches, as much as we are human and we are coaches, we also have families. We also have things that we strive for as well. And unfortunately, in this day and age with the business, we're not getting college coaches that are sitting at major universities for 10, 12, 15, 20 years like Coach K, Coach Boeheim, Coach Patino, and those guys are doing. Because nowadays, you're more judged on the money revenue that you're bringing in for that particular sport, and then the wins and losses. So if an athletic director, such as my good buddy who was on last week, Associate Athletic Director Patty Medina at the American University, their pressure is, how many wins are we getting? How many wins are we bringing into the university? And then with that, are we bringing any money behind us? So let's rewind this tape. Just 2 years ago, at all the hype behind Coach Deion Sanders here in the South at Jackson State University. Everyone thought it was insane, the things he was doing, but Coach Sanders was just previous to the NIL opportunity. He was able to go out and brand the university and be able to go out and get monies into the university from donors and sponsors and people that wanted to partner with an HBCU. Obviously, he got the talent. Obviously, he won. And now the university is doing great things because they're still very competitive after Coach Sanders left. Now, fast forward, if Coach Sanders had the likes of the NIL before he left Jackson State to go to Colorado, then he may or may not have stayed at Jackson State University because the playing field would have been a little bit different. We're talking NIL, we're talking Rise, we're talking right here on the Pull Up Podcast Show with your guy, Coach Tony. Make sure you like us, share with your friends, and more importantly, make sure you subscribe to the show. Now, as we spoke about my company, The Rise, we are a sports marketing branded company. I work with different brands. And up with the different brands, we work with these clients, we work with athletes of different backgrounds. And just like any other sport from Nike, Adidas, clothing outfits, that the student athlete has the ability to, as they say, get a collective. The ability for me to go out and reach out to these brands and talk to these brands, that my athletes have the ability to help them market their product in the market. When it comes down to NIL, that's where the college athlete or the high school athlete per se heading to college is looking for. Coach, do I have the ability to make money? How much money? Now, let me tell you a little bit about the NIL process with some brands. Everyone assumes and thinks when they see, and we're going to talk about this later, the kids that are really making a lot of money. Everyone thinks that the NIL deals are going to bring them millions and millions of dollars. That is not true. The NIL was originally set up for athletes seriously to make between $500 and $1,000 a month when the NCAA originally put it out several years ago. It was put out right after COVID to kind of help offset what was going on. In addition to that, there became the portal. For those of you that don't know, the portal in basketball and or football, and volleyball, basketball, baseball for that matter, is where the kid or the athlete at a university has the ability to transfer out of the institution that he or she is playing for if they don't feel comfortable or don't feel that they're going to be playing or getting the playing time they want. They can elect to transfer out. So several years ago, as the NCAA came about with the NIL, they came up with what they call a transfer clause. Prior to, a kid transferred, say back in the old days, or even the 90s, early 2000s, if they transferred, they had to set out a year. So in order to play, they had to set out 1 year to be eligible, and then they will be able to play. So I'll give you that example. If I was a freshman in college and I was at University X and I didn't like it and I wanted to transfer to University Y, I would have to set out a year. And then the next year that I would play, I would physically be a junior. So I would have X amount of years academically, X amount of years athletically. With the new rule change with the NCAA, they said, we'll do away with that. We'll give the athlete the ability to have one free transfer, to transfer anywhere they want. Doesn't matter if they want to transfer after their freshman year, sophomore year, or their junior year. They have the ability to transfer one time. And then after that, then we would ding them for that. So the kid now has moved to another level where they have the ability to move from University X to University Y and play right away. So they don't have to skip that year of activity or athleticism. So that's how the NCAA set everything up. We're going to get more in depth in this going in our second quarter. But right now, Val, let's pay some bills.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
And we're back on the show here, Coach Tony with the Pull Up Podcast Show. Thank you for tuning in. Kevin Springer, my guy, I see you out there tonight. What's going on? We're talking about the NIL collectives. We're going to bring on my co-host from Interludes Talk on Tuesday. My girl, Val, the voice, is going to join us tonight. That's my co-host right there on my side. What's up, my ride or die? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I was sitting up here taking notes because, I got a comment in the comments saying, what great information. We're like, yeah, we got to make sure we give that information. And thank you so very much, Mr. Springer. He said, great job, Coach T. And of course, love the format. We really appreciate the love and stuff like that. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so we're here and we got, there's some questions. Name, image, and likeness. Something that is, I think, we don't discuss enough, and I just didn't really understand. Now, one thing that I have a real question about is the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. What does that have to do with what recently happened regarding the NCAA ruling that happened in Tennessee and a few other places?
Yeah, so so on that Antitrust Act, Val, basically back in 1890, it was Antitrust Act talked about the compensation, being able to use the compensation for the athletes in terms of competition and commerce. So basically, what the NCAA is basically saying is that you have to use my rules or my regulations because we set it up and we said it's against the law. But the Sherman Act says, no, it's not. It's not because this is the United States law. And it says that if you are going to be in some form of competition, then you have the ability there should be some form of commerce. So because you are the NCAA, you do not get an opportunity to change what we say, per se, the law that governs the land. So this smart lawyer and attorney was able to use this Sherman Act today. And the University of Tennessee, that I ride or die with on my chest tonight, to University of Tennessee in Virginia, they won a huge suit today from the federal judge, and the local said that they were not going to uphold either universities for any violations. So that vow changed the entire run of the land. I think I lost you on the.
Okay, did you hear me? I'm sorry,
go.
Coach. I'll go ahead and ask the question again. I asked the question and you didn't say anything. I said, well, what does this mean now for student athletes who are at first division schools who have been number one recruited for, let's say, the basketball, football, or some wonderful sport that's at this top 10 or big league first division college or university?
Well, let's look at it like this. You remember my buddy Sam Cipriano, agent with Edge Sports International out of Chicago.
Right.
I was talking to him and a couple guys today. Here's what this means, Val. It's a absolute phenomenal. That photo that you're showing right there, that is none other than Dennis Rodman Jr. Yes, the Dennis Rodman from the Chicago Bulls, his son.
Okay.
just signed a deal. So, and that's no different than that. So, what it does is that with this antitrust law that was just passed, you are now looking at the ability for these kids to have the ability to make money prior to. Now, let's step back a second, Val.
Mm-hmm.
The lawsuit, what the lawsuit was actually trying to do was prevent the ability for the NIL money from these third party companies. Okay. So you
Wow.
have what they call collectives, which means that when you look at each of the Power Five, which we talked about that, that's the Big Ten, that's the SEC, that's the Big 12, that's the ACC, and then that's the Pac 12, of which the Pac 12 is going away at the end of the year. But when you look at those five Power Five conferences, as they say, then the collectives are supposed to be branded names under the university. Okay. If I am a third party, I'm a Val Johnson, Val the Voice Johnson, and I got a hat, and I say Coach Tony is a ball player, University of Illinois, and I think that he could push a lot of hats for me. Then you being a third party company says, I'm going to pay him $1 million because I think I'm going to make at least 10 million from his social media and from his name, image, and likeness. Now, if I go into a contract with you, that's between you and I, has nothing to do with the university. So when these kids, the other thing that parents and people need to know, if they notice when they see the NIL and they see these kids doing certain things, they can't wear the university's brand in these NIL deals unless they get prior approval. For
Wow.
example, when they see Caitlin Clark, the Miss Caitlin Clark that just broke the records we talked about last week, she has got a humongous deal with Jake from State Farm, right? And when she's on the TV with State Farm, she's able to wear that University of Iowa uniform, but that had to get university approval. But when we look at right here, this photo from Dennis Rodman Jr., from Bronny, and a couple other people we talked about, they don't have the university's jersey on. They have the brand that they're representing for that NIL.
Wow. And I guess here are a couple of top paid athletes that have taken advantage of NIL.
And that one right there is none other than LeBron James' son, who just
Ah.
made a big announcement today. For those of you that have kept up with sports, you may have heard, and those of you who haven't, some more breaking news. About 5 o'clock tonight, Bronny Jr. just announced he's coming back to USC for his second year, which threw Lakers fan and all the pandemonium up in the air crazy because, Val, you know, we talked about last year, LeBron James Jr. was supposed to be one of the kids that was going to be one and done and play with his dad. But then we
Right.
know he had that situation where he collapsed, you know,
Mhm.
in practice early on. So I think part of that was just now just making sure he has a great college outlook and make sure he's ready for the pros.
One
And
of
he's
the
the top paid athlete, by the way, and he had to deal with Nike and with Beats right at 5.8 million. And that's my man right there,
who's
obviously
that?
Deion Sanders' son, Shador
Mhm.
Sanders, and he has a good NIL deal. Val, he's got one with Smoothie Kings, and his
Oh,
deal, yeah, he got Smoothie Kings, he got Buffalo Wild Wings, he got his own sunglasses, and you know, he's somewhere in the neighborhood about 4.7, 4.8 million, which is phenomenal.
I don't know. Is there a need for the student athletes to go turn pro and try to get into the NBA and the NFL? I don't know.
And when we go through these pictures, we get to this. I'm gonna answer that question. Now, this young lady is
Mhm.
is amazing because this is Livy Dunn. So when you
Oh,
think of LSU, most
okay.
people think of Angel Reese because most people have not heard of this young girl. But
Mhm.
this young lady is a gymnastics person, and
Okay.
due to her social media, she's making about 3.7 million, and she signed a deal, Val, with none other than ESPN, Motorola, Body Armor, The Drink, and Sports Illustrated. So this young lady is
Wow.
doing her business.
Wow. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And then of course, this
But
young
you know,
man.
You know who
Mhm.
that is? That is the nephew of the none other than Eli and Peyton Manning themselves, the Manning boys. So this is their nephew, which is Arch Manning, named after their dad, Archie Manning.
Mhm.
But here's
Archie.
something that's phenomenal. Now, let me tell you, Val, and this to answer your questions why I didn't answer it a moment ago. And you're going to laugh when I tell you this bit of details. So
Mhm.
this year's past Super Bowl, correct?
Right.
We had San Francisco 49ers and
Mhm.
we had Patrick Mahomes, right?
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes already over $100 million and probably almost close to two as a quarterback, okay?
Mhm.
Been there, 3 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, right?
Mhm.
So the opposing quarterback was none other than Brock Purdy, who ended up in his first year getting an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl and do his thing. Do you know Brock Purdy's salary?
34 million?
Try not even 1 million. Try $885,000. So Arch
Whoa.
Manning, this picture that you're looking at, is a
Right.
freshman at the University of Texas,
Okay.
and he's already making 3.2 million. And this
Wow.
other guy who just played in the Super Bowl is making 800,000. So now everyone that's listening to me tonight on the Pull Up Podcast show, does this make sense to you? Why the NIL is such big business and an argument? To your question, Val, if
Mhm.
you're making money like this in college and enjoying the opportunity to be in college without the pressure of being a professional, would you try to jump to pros so quickly?
Probably not.
Exactly. 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 Now, our next person here is Travis Hunter, as you'll show his picture. Now, Travis Hunter is the fifth guy. He is teammates to Deion Sanders' son, Shakur. So they
Mm,
got two people, Val, on one football program. And he
two.
signed a deal as an advisor to a simply an app. And the app is called Freeform Sports App. And
Okay.
he's
Okay.
making about $2.3 million just being an advisor to those guys, which is
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And one of the other people that I know about and actively was hearing about during the NCAA tournaments with the women's team is Angel Reese.
My girl, my
Louisiana.
girl. Now,
Mm-hmm.
she's had a good and bad situation that happened lately. So let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about both. Angel Reese herself, she's somewhere in the ballpark about 2 million.
Okay.
Okay. The bad part about it was because of some of her antics this year and a few things that was going on. You remember last year when she won the national championship, I told you that Mattel was working on producing a black Barbie doll for her.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
they took that deal off the table.
Oh
So
no.
it's no longer an opportunity. Will it come back? It could possibly come back, but right now it's not an opportunity. But it's going to show you how this young lady flipped things. Today,
Mm-hmm.
she signed a deal today with Reebok. So she's now with Queen Bee and them girls with Reebok, help rebranding the Reebok brand. And I love what Angel Reese is all about. And she was one, Val, that could have went pro last year. So this goes back to your question. She could
Okay.
have went to be a professional last year, but they only made $300,000. So $300,000. Let me think. Or 2 million. I think I'm gonna take
Yeah.
the 2 million.
I will
Right.
take the 2 million for
Take
that,
the two.
Alex.
Take the two and stay in college and even make more than that. And that's what she did today by signing a deal with Reebok. Not only was that a good move for her, Val, when
Mm-hmm.
she makes this next jump to the WNBA, she's
Mm-hmm.
now got a shoe brand behind her.
Yeah, yeah, and I see we have a comment going back to Luby.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, she said that Dunn's just signed a deal with Viore, and Viore is
mhm.
not. And Val Viore is a client that I'm also trying to work with my Rise company. They are a as they call a leisure wear. As you know, we had my girl on with us, Brooke, Gilland from Belmont University, when we
Uh-huh.
inked her deal, and we completed that with Anatomy clothing brand. And Viore is in the same category. You are listening to your guy, Coach Tony, here on the Pull Up Podcast Show. Make sure you share, you like, and more importantly, subscribe to the show. My girl, co-host Val, the voice, we have reached halftime. So Val, you know what to do. Let's pay some bills and come right back.
All right.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the Key Spot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. Key Spot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. Key Spot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Back here on the show on the Pull Up Podcast Show with your guy, none other than Coach Tony, and my girl right here, bam, Val, the voice, coming in and joining me tonight. Val, what I want you to do, I want you to put that picture up for me of Coach Rick Pitino. And as we start the third quarter, we're going to tie all this stuff together more from a coaching perspective and all that. And while Val finds that photo, we've been talking about the NIL and how it plays a important role in what's been happening in today's climate with these student athletes making money. It has been such a situation that now you are starting to see the NCAA and these guys, not that one, Val, but Coach Rick Pitino, disturbed about what's going on, the basketball coach. And so you're looking at a situation where you have the opportunity for these kids to get paid, and it's about time. I'm a big proponent of this because as an athlete myself, we didn't have that opportunity to get paid back in the day. And to see these young men and women now be able to go out from their injuries to play their sport that they like and have the ability, that's great. Mark, my guy, Mark just jumped in and says, have you been watching my boy Cam Jones go off from Marquette? You know I do, and Cam has an NIL deal as well. You know, he's from down the street right here, Mark, in Memphis 10, my guy. And I think that he's been doing great. Val and my old classmate, my teammate, Rob Brown's son, Cam Brown, is also a member on that Marquette University basketball team. The NIL itself, the way that it's been structured, it is giving these young people power. Now, let me tell you how much power that is. Early in about a few weeks ago, we talked a little bit about the NIL. And right after the NCAA football, when Alabama got beat, remember that, Val? And there was all the big hoopla. And everyone started talking about why Coach Nick Saban retired. Well, Coach Saban said he just had enough. He just went to a situation where he went in a kid's house and they were talking about the University of Alabama. And this is the great Nick Saban. And within the first 5 minutes of the conversation, Val, the kid says, hey, I'm already going to Alabama, but that ain't what I'm looking at. I want to know how much NIL money I'm going to make. And, you know, Coach looked like, you know, like not one question. You don't want to know about the program, the school. No, I just want to know how much my NIL. So after Coach Saban left, he and the staff sit down, and he just said it was just too much for him because if at his age, if he's going to chase kids for money, then it's no longer fun to be a football coach, and I get it. So this is my guy, Coach Pitino. Some people don't like him, some do. I like Pitino, met him several times, sent a couple of kids down there to the University of Louisville when he was there. He, of course, got in trouble. And Val, so let me tie this back in. Our wonderful guy, Merrill Cole. Remember when Merrill was on with us? That took the fall for the Adidas for the basketball scandal.
Exactly, yeah.
So Coach Pitino, the picture you just had up there, Coach Pitino was part of that whole situation that was going on. Now, what Rick Pitino is a little upset about is, so let's go on the other side. So the NCAA today, after they got the ruling, that they found out that they lost with the UT and Virginia situation, You know what the NCAA did to kind of like spite everybody today, Val?
Canceled certain things.
They didn't cancel it. They just poured water on, well, actually poured gasoline on a fire. So
wow.
remember earlier we talked about the transfer clause when I mentioned in the first quarter, kids had the ability to transfer one time, had to miss a year. Then the new rule came out, they could transfer, play right away, but they couldn't transfer again.
Right.
So America, starting this fall, for college freshmen entering any university, Division I, Division II, as of today, the NCAA just passed this afternoon a new ruling that they are going to approve unlimited transfers. So
Wow.
that is why Rich Pitino said what he said right there, where you had that picture, if you want to put it back up. He was highly disturbed of this news coming out because he said what's going to happen is if the kid doesn't like his situation, Val, at Christmas time, that kid can leave. Now, let me put it to you
In the middle of a season for
in
some
in the middle of the season.
sports.
Now,
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm going to put it to you better than this. Again, before the show started tonight, me and Sam had an opportunity to talk. And Sam gave me some different perspective just from him working on some clients this past week. Here's how serious that is, Val.
Mhm.
Instead of you being a college coach, think about and everyone that's listening to this show tonight, I want you to put this hat on your head. I want you to be a college coach for just a few moments. I want you to think about this. You're a college coach, and we're going to take football because we know we got 90 plus kids on a football team. Okay.
Okay.
And you originally only had to worry about that kid year after year after year after year. As long as you did everything you had to do right, that kid could come back the following year or possibly transfer on you. But at the end of the day, you only had to worry about the kid for this particular year. So now think about you, that college coach. It is August. And now you didn't play a kid in a game last Saturday. And the parents in the stands. And the kid gets off the field and calls mom and dad, and they're irate. And then the kid comes into your office tomorrow morning, says, Coach, I'm leaving. Because he can transfer the next week. So now you're no longer babysitting kids for 365 days. You're now babysitting kids every single day. You've got you got to be careful what you say to them, right? And then here's the scary part, Val. These kids on campuses, they live where? In dorms.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually have what? Roommates.
And they
So
talk.
exactly. So
They
now
talk.
the coach not only has to satisfy that kid, but if that kid leaves and he goes to his roommate, maybe his roommate isn't playing either. Or maybe his roommate had a run-in with an assistant coach and hadn't told the head coach, and he's been thinking about leaving at the end of the year. And now you, his roommate, and you're the man, right? We know you're the man. You're scoring all the points. And now you decide to leave tonight or tomorrow.
Wow.
That is very scary. And the NCAA is basically saying, okay, since you want to overrule me on this NIL money and do what you want to do and let everybody take the ability for us to control it, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give the athletes unlimited transfers. So now it comes out of the NCAA hands and it goes back on the university. This is about to be a free-for-all, Val.
Oh my gosh. And two other players that you mentioned that are top NIL earners in the NCAA are these two young men.
Yep, we talked about them, Shador and Travis Hunter. You know, they accepted it. And the difference between them is that they came with Dion. Obviously, one is his son, and the other one came with. So they are locked and loaded because they have that opportunity that they're front and center. Now, let me tell you what the NIL has done.
Okay.
What I like about the NIL, because I've had to work in that space over the last 18 months, working with brands and doing different things. And thank you, Lord, because I'm working with Adidas and a couple other guys right now, and I appreciate them and hoping to do some big things. working right now. Quick shout out, just working right now with the #1 basketball player here in the state of Tennessee. We're working on some things there. So I'm hoping to do some other things in the future with him and his parents as well. But what the NIL has done that I've seen, it has relit a fire into college athletics. Now, let me tell you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
For those kids that you just mentioned a moment ago, Val, even though there is a kid that's a superstar, there's a kid that's not.
Okay.
Right? Even though there's a kid that's getting a lot of playing time, there's a kid that's not.
Okay.
And then even though there's a kid in the middle of the road, there's a kid on the other side of the road. So now I don't have to leave, right? Now let's put this in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a nephew that plays at X university, okay? But I've got a sister who is you, who works on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
You selling hedge funds. So you already got millions of dollars. And you got friends with millions of dollars. Now, my top athlete's jersey sells for easy numbers, $100 a jersey. Okay. So if he pushes out X amount of jerseys, he's looking at tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars at that price point.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, my son or my nephew, his jersey only sells for $10. So he's got to sell 10 jerseys to equal one of your guy, right?
Right.
But where does my sister work? She works down on Wall Street. So I now can call Val and say, hey, Val, I need you to push your nephew's jersey at $10 a jersey. And Val can put that out basically in Wall Street and have all the buddies that's got high money, a lot of money, go buy 100,000 jerseys. And now my nephew's sitting over $1 million. So
wow.
This is what the NIL has done to that playing field. It's giving the kids who know that they're not going to be a professional athletes, is now keeping them in school, which is good. And is allowing them to go there complete 4 years and make some money. And what I'm hoping to do, what I'm hoping that they do rather, is have those financial advisors. Not only the people that's working with them for their classes, but set up financial workshops so that these young men and women understand, continue to be a college student and continue to spend 30 to 50 bucks and take that other money and put it up. So when you graduate and walk away from that university, you have money to start your career and your life away.
We do have a question in the chat. I'm looking at this. Oh, it's Michael. But coaches already have unlimited transfers. Why shouldn't players have the same right to movement as coaches? That's
Mike, that is a great question. I'm going to tell you something, Mike. Let's go back to the picture that I just showed. So Rick Pitino got upset from a previous year when he was at Louisville going crazy because kids wanted to transfer and transfer out. And they didn't have the ability because, again, Val, at that time, the NCAA only gave them a one-time transfer clause. But Coach Pitino, after all the situation that went down with the legal stuff that obviously what Merrill Cole talked to you and I about, he ended up with what? A job in the East Coast out in Philly with Iona. So he gets another chance to coach basketball. Then he gets at Iona, and one of his players last season didn't like what was going on and said, at the end of the year, I'm leaving. I'm not even going to be here. I don't want to be here no more. And Rick scolded him and everything else. And then what happened? At the end of the year, he leaves as the coach from Iona and does what? Goes to St. John. So to Mike's point, these coaches, they're having the ability to move from school to school. Or in a situation like our first guest on the Pull Up Podcast show, my guy, my mentor, Coach Quanzo Martin, explained to you and I, Val, sometimes it's a situation that is not a good fit. And the coach has either leave early or the university lets him or her go, and then they pay them the duration of their contract until it's paid out or they find a new position. So now this NIL, nah, baby, playing field's level.
And so this is really good, great news for the student athlete. And so it's just having the same rights and privileges, because a lot of the NCAA coaches, especially on the basketball first division schools, they get paid millions of dollars to coach. And I wonder why it took so long for that to catch up to the student athletes, the ones that are out there risking leg and limb and everything else to entertain hundreds of upon thousands every week during the NCAA basketball times, during the times that there's volleyball, the times that there are other major sports at these first division schools. What took so long? What took
I
so
tell you
long?
what, Val, I'm going
Mhm.
to answer that question, but we're going to take a quick commercial on the Pull Up Podcast show, come back to the fourth quarter, and we're going to open up with Val's question.
Okay, here we go. All right, let's go ahead and start the fourth quarter. This is Val the Voice Johnson. I don't know if you realize it, but I have started what? Writing a book. Your girl is doing what she loves. I've been doing DJing and virtual hosting for well over 3 years, especially since the pandemic. And I want to invite you guys to please go ahead and pick up a copy of what? A DJ Saved My Life. It is my personal story of how I took on podcasting as well as virtual DJing, making people move in their seats to music. And of course, doing this podcasting and doing the thing that I love helped to save my life. If you want to get a great book that is by Val the Voice, the full release comes out on next week. We're going to have a big book e-reveal for next week. I want to thank everyone who has already purchased your e-copy. So if you have your cell phone, go ahead and scan the QR code, and I'll go ahead and place the link in the chat. And now, Coach Tony, here we go.
Man, Val, you're not going to get my book. If I won't do nothing else, I'm going to get my book. But hey, as we approach the fourth quarter, you are sitting here with my guy. You're sitting here with your guy, Coach Tony, none other, on the Pull Up Podcast show. I got to send a big shout out to my guy, Andrew Force, one of my guys here in Nashville with me, one of my side roadies. Love Andrew to death. He is the beat writer for us for the circuit that my basketball team is playing on, the prep hoop circuit. I've been knowing Andrew for quite some time. He does a heck of a good job getting out in gyms, looking at talent. If it's not for guys like this, you don't get the information that you guys read about on these kids, how well they're playing. You don't know, Val, the kid that just came out last year here in Nashville, the Brandon Miller kid, things of that nature. And by the way, I told you guys he's coming up close on that Rookie of the Year. I told you to keep listening to me. But Andrew does a heck of a good job in writing and keeping these kids, and he understands the things we're talking about. So back to the question, Val, that you were asking me a moment ago. Go ahead and repeat that question so everyone understands it, and I'm going to jump into it.
Okay. My question simply was, why did it take it for so long for it to catch up? There's a lot of coaches that received large salaries for coaching our student athletes in the first division schools. But why did it take so long to catch up in reciprocity in paying the student athlete? You go ahead and answer that for me.
Well, it took so long to catch up, Val, because the NCAA controlled this and they felt it was illegal. And they felt that if they allowed this to occur, then they would lose control, which they lost control. And the crazy part about it is they lost control dealing with football. See, football is so big. When think about it, Val, you got stadiums like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, University of Tennessee, Miami. These stadiums are 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, the money that's sitting behind it, I don't care what you're playing the players, 100,000 people in the stand, that's a lot of money. You know, and it's like my guy right now, my boy Debo, that's on here, my man. Thanks for checking me out. Debo's one of my homeboys here. He says, Coach, do you feel that the NIL did more for the coaches or more for the players? Because if you're a star player is making, say, 4 to 5 million a year, now me as a coach, I must be saying, demand a request. Well, here's the difference on that, Debo. When you're sitting at those power fives and you got stuff, let's go back to Shakur Sanders, right? Shador. Dion said he pulled up in a Maybach. Dion, like, I've been rolling all my life and I don't even have a Maybach, but my son got one. So again, that goes back to financial literacy and hoping that these kids are getting that financial literacy. The other part of that, Debo, is that when you're looking at these coaches are not the same coach that coached me and you when we were coming through the late 80s, early 90s. Those were guys, as we say, you can't Bobby Knight a kid, curse a kid out. You know, imagine grabbing a kid in their collar or being in that kid's face. And like Sam said earlier today, Val, I just mentioned, now you have to be very careful of what you're saying to these kids because the NCAA is now giving the kid basically the key to the car, and they don't even have a license.
Wow.
So it's going to get more hairier than it's going to get anything else. And now the funny part about it is this. We wanted to make sure you guys, if you were knowing, and to do it the right way. We had one of my homeboys from Chicago, one of our bigger guests on early this year, none other than our guy, Terry T.C. Cummings, ex-DePaul University, Milwaukee Bucks, to the San Antonio Spurs, one of our best podcast shows we got. He just got inducted and had his number and his jersey retired from DePaul University. And we want to make sure that we do none other than pump our guy up. Val, let's play this video for everybody.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and get that queued up. But yeah, I definitely was excited to go ahead and actually meet him in person and to give a little chit chat with him and congratulate him. But yeah, this was really cool to go ahead and do this presentation. Let me go ahead and find and put my hands on that video. It's a little long, but it's definitely, they went ahead. There was the Georgetown and DePaul game that was played here in Chicago at the Wintrust. Yeah, that was at the Wintrust. Yep. And so that, yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to see if I can go ahead and bring it up, and I'm having a little issue right here, but nonetheless, it was really a good time to go ahead and see it. And so, like I said, I got a chance to, they got a chance to retire his jersey number 32. And that was really cool to go ahead and see. And so, I just
those that don't know, TC played at none other than DePaul University back in Chicago during the heydays of my guy, Coach Ray Myers. You know, as a shorty run around Chicago, you know, everybody knew about them Blue Demons because they had them candy cane pants and them jerseys with the stripes down the side, that red, white, and blue, looking like the American flag. But Terry, Carver High School graduate, South Side of Chicago, and you know, he's always been one of those ball players that was highly recognized in the city. He's part of the top 25 all-time ball players that came out of the city of Chicago. So, Val, when you told me you were at the game, I was like, man, that was cool. Because at the same time, I was at the Austin P game with them watching that. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I was really excited to go ahead and see that. So let me see if I can bring it up now. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can go ahead and check it out. And here we go. All right. TC Cummings. Woo, 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 woo.
Individually, Cummings averaged 22 points and 11.9 rebounds per game. In his 3-season ball, Cummings contributed 1,319 points, 857 total rebounds, 144 assists, and 112 blocks. His 857 career remain among the career top 10 marks in program history. One of Cummings' most memorable games came in the 1981-82 season in the Ball 75-68 victory over Louisville. Cummings scored a career-high 37 points while grabbing 19 rebounds. Cummings was drafted second overall in the 1982 NBA draft, the second highest all draft pick behind only Mark Aguirre. He went on to an 18-year career in the NBA, which included being named 1983 NBA Rookie of the Year and 3 All-NBA honors. He scored a total of 19,460 career points, 8,630 career rebounds, and 1,255 career steals during his professional career. Cummings was inducted into the DePaul Athletics Hall of Fame in 2004. Joining Terry on the court today is his family. At this time, please welcome Terry Cummings to say a few words.
Now, I only get 2 minutes, so I got to make this fast. First, I want to introduce y'all to my fiance. Married this woman in April. Behind me are my sons, my eldest son, Antonio, my middle son, TJ, and younger son, Sean, one there somewhere. And all the rest of them are my grandchildren. I have 11 and one on the way. We have been fortunate and we've been blessed. I think every time I look at my sons, I look at what a legacy looks like because I know that life continues on with them. Having been here at DePaul, one of the great things that has really inspired me is, for one, meeting Mr. Dwayne, the AD and the VP here, and seeing the spark in him for what we call We Are DePaul. I really believe that in order for us to not just get back to where we were, but to get way past that, we're going to need a lot of help from you all. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm in it. You know, I'm in it with the ball because I want to see us, because, you know, when good things happen for us at the ball, good things happen for Chicago. Everybody that made our weekend really, really special. Taylor, Martin, from the DePaul organization. I mean, man, it was really a blessing to see how they responded and took care of us and made this evening possible. I know there's a game that has to be played, so I'm just going to say thank you all. There are a lot of people that I would want to thank, but my 2 minutes are up. So, but I think all of my family, where's 109 at? Those are the people, and we should all take note that nobody in this world is ever going to accomplish something without standing on the shoulders of somebody else. And that is our DePaul fans, that is our family, our friends, that is all those who are with and for us on a day-to-day basis, that I am truly honored, and I'd like to share this honor with everyone here tonight because you all have made this happen. My family has made this happen. My sons and their children have made this happen, so it would be an honor to me if you all would be honored with me in this retirement of the jersey.
At this time, we ask you to join us together around the north end free throw line for a special unveiling. All right, on the count of three, we'll pull away the covering. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's see it.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's nice. It was really good seeing this in person.
That was
Yeah,
That was
and
that's and the cool part about that, Val, for some of those that don't know,
mhm.
his teammate Mark McGuire is now special assistant that's there at DePaul. So to have this old guy back in
Wow.
the
The
house
voice
again,
and
that's
Coach
good.
Tony, you know, it's the Pull Up Podcast show.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me stop it. There we go.
Okay.
You were saying?
I said the good thing about it is that Terry had, now his old teammate in Mark McGuire is now the special assistant that's there at DePaul University. So that is absolutely excellent night. I'm going to reach out again. I want Terry to come on the show, talk about that night. We're going to get him back on this show. Plus, he owes us a show anyway because he's supposed to be launching that album.
He
Remember?
doesn't want the album, but I think he is. I got a chance to talk with him. There was a lot of people that were there. They were ready for him to sign, you know, baseball cards or either photos. And Terry was very gracious. I was looking for the photo that we took together, but I can't put my hands on it right now. But it was I just noticed he's a very calm demeanor and was
Yeah,
very, very grateful for this honor. And so that jersey is going to be hanging in the Wintrust Arena here in Chicago in honor
that
of
is
Terry
that's
Cummings. Mhm.
That's not, and more importantly, I'm glad about it. You got an opportunity to get out. There was a lot of them. Mark mentioned that this past weekend also that
Mhm.
Bo Ellis and Earl Tatum also was honored up at Marquette University along with Hank Reynolds and my beloved Mr. Mark McGuire. Coach McGuire is no longer with us anymore. So that is great. But, this right here means a lot to Chicago because anybody that knows the city of Chicago and Chicago sports know that DePaul was the pillar of the city back in the 80s and 90s in terms of
Mhm.
basketball. Do not have a football program, so basketball reigns king up on the north side of the city. And I'm sure everybody on Lincoln Avenue was partying last night. Saturday.
Having a good time. But congratulations to Terry, and he asked about you and definitely wished us well. And so we thank Terry for number one coming to the show, and also Queen, and that would be April Whedon White, who's been on our Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesdays. Thank you so much for giving me the heads up that he was coming, so I was able to kind of pivot, rearrange my schedule on Saturday and see a game in person, because I'm thinking, oh, I could just phone it in and watch it on television. But no, it felt good to go ahead and see it there. So yeah, but this
You
has
see,
been
you see, you sound rubbing off of you. This time you spent with me this last year, Val, you have become so much more. I love it to death. My sister, you my sister, man, you my sister from another mother. You know what I'm saying?
I've
It's been
learned to
great.
have an appreciation for it. And like I said, it is what we're always excited about. It's called the Pull Up Podcast. So we're excited about what is to come. And we're coming into Women's History Month. And so I am excited about who are some of the women that are making an impact, like Patty Medina, who came on last week in
Patty
the
Medina
sports
came
arena.
on
So
last
yeah.
week, and
Mhm.
I'm working on a big guest that actually Patty and I spoke about. And the moment that I get the two thumbs up, please
Mhm.
continue to watch for the social media because we're going to be posting it on social media, and I'm excited about that. And I've got a couple of
Mhm.
more guests. We're going to bring on another guest that's tied to hopefully the NFL and the NBA that's doing some big
Mhm.
thing on the female side house in the HBCU world. So thank you guys. More importantly, kind of like what Terry said, without you, there is no me. And I appreciate everything you guys have done to make the Pull Up Podcast show very successful. And we're just now getting started, kind of like AI. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And on tomorrow, we'll be back and I'll be doing a movie review of Bob Marley's One Love. Got a chance to see it over the
Love.
weekend. One Love. Let's get together and feel all right. I got a contact high just watching it, because everywhere I saw, they was lighting it up throughout the entire film. It was cracking me up. So I'll be chit-chatting about that.
Yeah, that's why they could act to do the stuff that they were doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, and that's why we call Bob Marley the Big Ganja Man.
And of course, our podcast episode, A DJ Saved My Life. It's the new ebook. Guys, go ahead and grab a copy of it. Go ahead and support the podcast here. And it definitely, if you want to know about podcasting, I have the ABCs of podcasting, as well as my own personal story of how podcasting, this particular platform, Interludes, and also developing and producing the Pull Up Podcast helped save my life. Coach Tony, this has been a educational situation, and I thank you so very much for letting us know all about name, image, and likeness. I am more educated because of this particular show. Thank you,
That
sir.
is great. And don't forget, for you guys that are out there, again, Val, the opportunity that the young man that I just pulled up and grabbed up in terms of pull up on this website right here at www.therisenil.com. If you pull that up, you'll find some more information out about what I do, how I do, when I do, and where I do it at. And you'll be able to learn even more about the NIL space and how you can take advantage as well. This has been the Pull Up Podcast Show with your boy, Coach Tony, in the house again. Thank you for liking this show, sharing it with your friends, and more importantly, to subscribe. It's my homegirl right here from another mother, Val the Voice, and we'll be back tomorrow. My phone got so excited it just fell off. Oh, hey,
We'll be back next week. We'll be back.
I dropped the mic.
Oh my gosh. We'll be back, and we'll see you guys on tomorrow night with Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesdays. Peace.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show.